I can't prove the day that made me who I am ever happened. No photo, no footage, just my word. And soon, that won't be enough. Because the internet is flooding with a past that was never real, faces that never existed, memories built by machines that never lived. Soon, the only proof there was a world before the screens is us, and we're running out. Let me show you what we saw while I still can. Do something for me, right now. Pick a memory from before the glowing rectangle in every hand, before every moment became something you could check. A specific afternoon, the feeling of a day with nowhere to be and no way to be found. Have it? Now prove it. Not describe it. Prove it. Show me it happened. Show a stranger. Show a court. Show a machine that wasn't in the room. You can't. There's no file, no timestamp, no backup. That afternoon, one of the realest of your life, was never recorded anywhere on Earth except one place: you. In 1940, a Polish officer named Witold Pilecki did something almost no one in history has ever volunteered to do. He got himself deliberately arrested and sent into Auschwitz on purpose, because the world didn't yet believe what was happening there, and someone on the inside had to witness it and carry the proof out. He understood something most of us never have to, that a thing can happen to millions of people in plain daylight and still be denied out of existence, if no one is left who can stand up and say, "I was there, I saw it, it was real." The Nazis knew it too. A guard said it to a prisoner's face: "However this war ends, we have won the war against you. None of you will be left to bear witness. And even if someone survives, the world will not believe him." That was the actual plan. Not just to destroy people, to destroy them so completely that no one could prove they'd ever lived. A witness, it turns out, isn't a small thing. A witness is the only thing standing between something that happened and something that never did. Now, come back to your afternoon, because you're a witness too, to something quieter, with no villain in it, but disappearing just as completely. You're one of the last people who can say, "I was there, before. I saw what a person was, when nobody was watching them. I remember the version of being alive that didn't get recorded, and no one is taking your testimony. No one is writing it down. It's going to leave the world the exact moment you do." And here's the turn nobody is ready for. For all of history, when a witness died, their testimony was simply lost. That was the tragedy, the silence where a story used to be. What's about to happen to us isn't silence. Picture it. 30 years from now, someone you love is trying to show their child what your life was like. What they'll have of the real you is a handful of blurry photos, a few half-remembered facts, a memory of a memory, soft, thin, full of holes. And sitting right next to it, on the same screen, will be another version. A version of your life built by a machine, sharper than your real photos, warmer, more complete. A perfect afternoon, in perfect golden light, with a face that smiles exactly the way the machine decided you smiled. One of those will be true, the other will be convincing, and they will not be the same one. That's the part no one sees coming. The fake past won't lie clumsily. It'll lie beautifully, cleaner, warmer, more certain than anything your fading, imperfect, actual memory can offer. Until the real version, the one that actually happened, starts to look like the lie. Too blurry, too incomplete, too human to be true. You won't just be forgotten. You'll be out-remembered by something that was never there. So no, this was never a video about missing the past. It's about the last moment in history when someone can still tell the difference between what was real and what was generated. And right now, you're watching one of the last people who can. So far, this has been about you. One person, one fading memory, one machine that can fake it. Now widen the lens, because the same thing is about to happen to everything we've ever recorded. All of it, at once. Here's a number that should stop you. More than half of everything written on the internet today is no longer written by humans. The machines already produce most of it, and every month they produce more. Not just text, but faces, voices, photographs, footage, entire events that look completely, perfectly real and never happened. We are watching, in real time, the moment the fake stuff starts to outnumber the real stuff. Not catch up to it, outnumber it. And here's why that's not just annoying, why it's a kind of disaster we've never faced before. For all of human history, the past had a property we never even thought about, because we never had to. It was scarce, hard to make. A photograph required a real moment, real light, a real person standing there. Even a lie required effort. You had to stage it, fake it, physically construct it. The truth had one enormous advantage over every lie. The truth actually happened, and that left a trail the lie couldn't easily copy. That advantage just disappeared. When a machine can generate 10,000 perfect, detailed, convincing photographs of a thing that never occurred, in the time it takes you to find the one real photo of the thing that did, the trail stops meaning anything. The real and the fake arrive in the same flood, wearing the same face. Now follow that forward, because this is where the cold part lives. History isn't kept in stone anymore. It's kept on screens, searchable, editable, copyable. And the way you find anything now is you ask a machine, and the machine shows you what it found. But soon, already, most of what it finds was made by another machine. The record is starting to be written by the very thing that wasn't there. Picture a child, 50 years from now, doing what every kid does, looking up what life was like back here, in our time. They won't dig through an attic, they'll ask, and an AI will answer, instantly, with perfect confidence and perfect images, assembled from an ocean of data in which the invented version of our lives has quietly drowned the real one. They won't be lied to by a person. They'll be lied to by the record itself. And there will be no one left who is there to stand up and say, "That's not how it was. I know, I was there." That's the part that should put the cold feeling back in your chest. It was bad enough that your own memory might be out-remembered by a prettier fake. But this is bigger. Everyone's memory is heading into the same flood. The whole shared record of what being human was actually like, before the screens, before the machines, is about to be rewritten by something that has read everything and lived nothing. And it will not write our story sad or honest or true. It will write it smooth, convincing, wrong, which leaves exactly one thing standing between the real past and the flood. The people who were actually there, still breathing, still able to say, "I remember us, and we have never been more outnumbered or more temporary." So that's the trap. The fake is winning because it's better, cleaner, sharper, more convincing than anything real and human and fading. But sit with that word for a second, better, because I think it hides the one thing that's going to save us. Ask yourself what actually makes the fake so convincing. It's perfect. The light is always right. The faces are always symmetrical. Nothing is blurry. Nothing is missing. Nothing contradicts anything else. It's seamless. Now ask yourself what a real memory looks like. It's a mess. The faces go soft. You remember the smell, but not the year. You're sure it was summer, and someone who was there swears it was spring. There's a gap right in the middle where something important should be, and it's just gone. We've been treating that as the weakness. The reason the real loses to the fake. It's the opposite. That mess is the one thing the machine cannot fake. Because it isn't a flaw in the memory, it's the fingerprint of having been there. Think about how memory actually works. It's not a recording, it's a wound. The mark, a real moment left on a real nervous system as it passed through. It's lopsided and incomplete precisely because a human being lived it. From one body, one angle, one flood of feeling that bent what they noticed and what they kept. The blur isn't the absence of truth. The blur is the evidence of truth. It's proof a person was standing there, overwhelmed, alive, unable to capture all of it, which is exactly what being there has always felt like. The machine has the opposite problem. It was never overwhelmed, never stood anywhere, never had a body for the moment to leave a mark on. So it does the only thing it can. It makes everything perfect. And perfect is the tell. This is the thing nobody is saying, so let me say it plainly. In a world drowning in flawless fakes, imperfection becomes the rarest proof of all. The crack in the voice, the detail that doesn't quite add up, the story that's a little different every time you tell it, because you're pulling it from a person and not a file. Soon, those won't be the embarrassing parts of a memory. They'll be the watermark of the real. The one signature 10,000 perfect machines can copy the face of, but never actually earn, because earning it required being there, and being there is the one thing they can never do. So here's the turn the whole video was walking toward. You are not a worse record than the machine. You've had it backwards this entire time. You are not a fading, glitchy, unreliable hard drive losing the war to something better. You are the last reliable one. Because your version is the only version that actually happened, and it carries the proof, baked into every crack and gap and contradiction, that a real human being was there to see it. The machine can outproduce you 1,000,000 to 1. It can outshine you. It will never once outwitness you. That fading, imperfect, gloriously unprovable memory in your head isn't the thing that's losing. It's the original. And in a world about to be buried in copies, the original is the only thing that was ever worth anything at all. Which leaves only one question, the hard one. If you're holding the last real copy of a world that's about to disappear, what are you actually going to do with it before you're gone? So, the last real copy of a vanishing world is sitting inside you. The question is what you do with it before you're gone. And I want to be honest, for most of this video, I didn't have a good answer. The problem felt too big. You can't outproduce the machines. You can't fact-check an ocean. One person with a fading memory against a flood of perfect fakes. What's the point? But I think I was asking the wrong question. I was trying to beat the flood. You can't, and you don't have to. Because here's what the machine, for all its power, will never be able to do. It can generate a photo of a grandfather who never existed, but it cannot sit a real child on a real knee and say, "Let me tell you what it was actually like." It can fake a face. It cannot pass something from one living person to another and have it land, felt, believed, received, the way it lands when it's true and the person saying it was there. That transfer, old hands to young ears, the story told out loud to someone who'll carry it, is the one form of remembering the machine can't touch. Not because it's not clever enough, because it requires having been there, and a witness who chooses to pass it on. The machine has neither. You have both. So this is the part where I stop talking about the problem and tell you the only thing that actually works. Tell it, out loud, to a person. The afternoon you couldn't prove. The version of being alive that didn't get recorded. The way the world felt before all of us looked down. Find someone younger than you and give it to them. Not as a perfect file, but as a real story, cracks and gaps and all. Because a memory that lives in a second person is no longer one fading copy. It's a witness handed forward. It's the one thing in this entire flood that the machines cannot fake and cannot drown. A true thing, passing from someone who was there to someone who will remember that they heard it. That's how the record survives. Not in the cloud. In people. The way it always did, for 10,000 years, before we briefly forgot. I started this by telling you I can't prove the day that made me who I am ever happened. And that's still true. There's no file, no backup. When I'm gone, the proof goes with me. Unless I say it out loud, to you. So here's mine before I lose the chance. There was an afternoon, the light a certain way, people I loved who aren't reachable anymore, in a room that doesn't exist now. No one filmed it. No one will ever be able to prove it happened, but it did. I was there. I saw it. It was real. And now you know it too, which means for a little while longer, it isn't gone. That's the whole thing. That's the only weapon any of us ever had against being forgotten or erased or out-remembered by something that was never there. We are the last witnesses to a world that's disappearing. So before we go, say what you saw while you still can.